Members of Parliament, support staff, TV viewers, radio listeners, all following this meeting via social media. Of course, members of the media also following this meeting. I welcome all of you to the continuation of Central Committee meeting number 11 for today, Thursday, December 19th. At this time, I want to give a very special welcome to the ministers of the Council of Ministers who are here with us. We have the Minister of Justice, also Acting Minister of Finance, I might add, and we have the Minister, so that's Minister Tacklin, and we also have the Minister of Romy, Minister Gums here with us, along with their support staff. We have a quorum of, let's make sure and take note of those persons who have sent messages. So we have representation of 4 factions, so that is sufficient for this meeting to take place. Thus, I invite you to stand for a moment of silence. Thank you. I have received notice from the following members: MP Lutmila De Weaver, MP Lewis. I had received a message from MP Peterson, who in the meantime is here with us. And thus, those are the notifications received ahead of the meeting. And we have a notice that has just been communicated that MP Irian will be late. So that is also noted. At this time, I ask if there are other notifications from the floor. I don't see that taking place, or that being necessary rather, and thus I thank the members for the notifications that we received before, as I then continue with the agenda point for this meeting. We are at the agenda point number 3 of the meeting, and that is the national ordinance stipulating the budget for St. Martin for the year 2025. As mentioned yesterday at the introduction, this is National Ordinance number 182, and it is the incoming document, so the IS number 371, both of the current parliamentary year. Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, we started this meeting yesterday, the Central Committee meeting yesterday, handling the draft budget, which started out with an introduction by the Prime Minister and a presentation on the budget 2025 by the Minister of Finance. Subsequently, members of Parliament started their question round to all of the ministries, and we are now at the point where we started last night with the questions to the ministry and the Minister of Vromi, and that is where we continue this morning. So I look to my left and ask the members who would like to speak, or continue to speak for that matter, on the topic of the Ministry of Vromi's budget. To whom can I give the floor at this time? I see MP Janssen is asking for the floor. MP Janssen, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning to the other members of Parliament. Good morning to the Minister and his staff, and also to the Minister representing the Minister of Finance today. I forgot to ask a question yesterday, which is also a concern of a lot of people. I know that some of the other MPs asked yesterday already about the garbage pickup. My concern more with the garbage is about the garbage transport, because now we have a lot of cases where garbage is transported in open trucks, and I know that that is not allowed, but there are at least 3 hotspots that I can think of: the Colby Hill, Arch Road, and Guanabay Road, where you could basically just park there and collect fines because the garbage is flying off of the trucks in those areas all the time. And I was wondering, are there fines in place for that? And are you collecting fines for trucks that are carrying garbage without covering? That's my question, my extra question. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Janssen. Any other speaker on the topic? That is not. We have MP Peterson. MP Peterson, you have the floor.
Good morning to you, Madam Chair. Good morning to my honorable colleagues. Good morning to the ministers here present with us and their support staff, and to everybody else tuned in. Madam Chair, just one question I had. On page 34 of the budget, I believe they mentioned the Huurcommissie, the rent tribunal. When you look at the subsidized companies, you see that only the Housing Foundation is subsidized, and their budget actually doubled this year. Meanwhile, the allocated subsidy for the Huurcommissie is still 0. I would just like to know from the Minister, through you, Madam Chair, would an amendment be feasible in order to discuss some funds going to the Huurcommissie, or is there a different plan of approach for the rent tribunal? And that's all from me for now, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Peterson. Is there any other MP who wish to speak at this time? There are no members of Parliament who require the floor at this time. Minister of Vromi, before I close off this part, allow me to add a question or two, and it's basically the questions that I have sent to the ministry regarding the entire matter of one. The road had surfacing project, the issue of the drainage, overall speaking. And Minister, in reviewing my questions and concerns as expressed on this topic, I found back a letter to your predecessors, and this goes back to 2015, in which I spoke about the issue of the drainage master plan for St. Maarten, etc., and as well as amendments to the zoning ordinance to regulate the issuance of permits for infrastructural works. I continued in 2016 on the same topic, asking questions. Since that, the matter of when we look at zoning, etc., the matter of the acrobatics report has been one that the Parliament of St. Maarten has sent to the government and the Minister of Vromi in particular, asking the ministers and the ministries take on that report by the acrobatics by that firm. In my latest letter to the ministry, I highlighted what we received as part of the budget 2024, the so-called CAPEX highlights, in which it speaks of the secondary dirt roads wide, and then it gives the sections, the 5 sections. And my questions, Minister, I would like to receive the answers as I put them in my letter, in which I refer to the matters mentioned in the Capital Investment 2024 as far as the road surfacing is concerned. In my letter to the ministry, I specifically refer to the issue of Well Road. And I learned from newspapers, I myself have not passed the Well Road since that some repairs are being done. Are these repairs to the Well Road, are they on the basis of the hard surfacing project, or is it because of the recent additional potholes that have been caused by the recent or the rain that we had a couple of weeks ago? So, Minister, I would like you to kindly address for me the CAPEX highlights, in which things like, and I Want to go back now to Coal Bay, for example. And in section 1, it is mentioned that preparation works, this comes from the budget, this is the CapEx highlights of the project, design and build concrete hard surfacing program 2023-2024 secondary roads. And section 1 states, preparation works are being done for Aki Tree Drive. The other roads in section 1 are pending the preparation works for drainage in the area, between brackets, which are ongoing. Which other roads in Coal Bay are pending the preparation works for drainage in the area? Which drainage projects are ongoing, to quote from the budget of the government, in the area of Coal Bay, leading to, so these side roads, leading to the Union Road? If the minister could give me an in-depth overview of section 1 of the CapEx highlights. The Ministry of Romy in 2022 announced receipt of a plan for a comprehensive approach to storm and wastewater. And in that plan that was presented to the ministry, it mentions that on the storm water, it mentions that in 2005, 2 lives were sadly lost because of flash flooding that happened in the Coolsack area. Had surfacing of, between brackets, newly to develop areas will cause storm water to be discharged very fast and thus forming a great threat for low-lying areas. The goal is to avoid huge amounts of storm water from flowing down very quickly and dragging everything along with it. Besides that, a quick rise of water levels may cause a lot of damage to buildings. The policy document, I continue from the report by the Ministry of Romy, the policy document for storm water includes a set of what has been done differently with respect to the road program now underway, is my question to the minister. So overall, this plan, was any note taken of the serious concerns raised in a plan commissioned by the government of St. Martin? What has been done differently? What differently has been included in the project to hard surface roads? The issue, can the minister inform me what is the status and plans for the Orange Grove Road? The repairs that were done there, not really repairs, it's actually attempts to have a drainage at the foot of the Orange Grove Road, foot meaning closer to the lagoon. What are the other plans, if any, for that road? And I want to repeat something I said to you, Minister, with respect to when we had the last rains and what we saw on the Orange Grove Road. It was frightening. It was frightening. And it showed exactly what the report that I just mentioned, storm and wastewater report, it showed exactly what that report was talking about and for what care needed to be paid. So, Minister, I would like your responses to the questions in my letter and the additional ones that I have just posed. Based on a question, I also learned some months ago that it was the intention of the Ministry of Tiat and the Ministry of Romy to basically combine their efforts and their existing policies to come to a beach policy. Have those efforts yielded any results thus far? I have heard from the Ministry of Romy over the years and months that the project for the zoning of the different districts, due to whatever reasons were mentioned by the ministry, will not be pursued, but rather the plan for a island-wide zoning is what is now under consideration or on the works. Can the minister give me some updates with respect to that zoning? I also specifically ask about government's intention, if there are any, considering the whole issue of zoning, to have some type of a development plan for the Coopercoy, no, let me start from the top, for the Maho, Mullet Bay, and Coopercoy area. I know that attempts were made to have such a plan. I think it is now more urgent than ever, given the situation surrounding Mullet Bay and the already announced plans to sell that property. So can the minister give his views on the development plans for that area in particular? Minister, I think that with the questions asked by colleagues and those I just added, that that would give me sufficient information for now to go by as we approach the public handling of the budget. We have, I now give the floor to MP York. MP York, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good morning to you again, and good morning to the minister, the two ministers, and his support staff, as well as the viewing public. Minister, I'm going to keep my questions brief. I would like to know what your plans are for the traffic congestion, specifically on the L.B. Scott Road, Ebenezer, South Ward area. Furthermore, your top 3 priorities going into 2025, or better yet said, top 3 priorities that you would like to complete in 2025. Criteria for the roads, I remember I asked this in the prior budget debate, but I don't think I really got a comprehensive answer. I would like to know what is the criteria that the roads are judged on when it comes to the main road resurfacing project, when it comes to selecting roads. So I've seen a road selected that I had my questions on, so I'm very curious to the criteria behind selecting the roads. What is the minister's plan, or I would say for now, as it pertains to the flood-prone areas that are very well known, and what are the steps towards a master plan for that? I remember a couple months ago I asked and inquired about St. James Estate, if their name was still on the list to be resurfaced. The minister said yes, and it also came up that the overhead lines were a hindrance to anything being done, and that the minister made an inquiry at GB. I never heard back from the minister about that, so I would like to update on that. Additionally to that, I would like a list of all preparatory resolutions that expired in the last 3 years, and the ones that are still, if there are any, still current. Garbage tax, the minister alluded to garbage tax in a couple media articles. I would like the minister to explain exactly how would this look like, and how it will be collected. I heard murmurs of it being added to one's GB bill. I don't know if that's a rumor, if that's true. So I would like clarity if that is true. And I'll tell the minister from now, I'm vehemently against that, as long as we still have a fuel class problem, because I don't see how, without GB relief, without a fuel class being solved and the exorbitant bills that we already have, and we are now adding an additional post to that, and that's only if it's true. As well as yesterday, I asked questions to the finance minister as it pertains to the new vehicle tax plan idea that she released. I would like to know if the minister was consulted on this and if he had any say in the idea that is on the table right now. Also, subsequent to that, I would like to know what the plans are of the minister as it comes to revitalizing the housing foundation, in particular their debts. Drainage, which has been the minister's favorite word as of late. I would like to echo those sentiments. I would like to know given the fact that the minister promised months ago that almost every project moving forward as it pertains to the roads will have drainage additions, I would like to know what from the projects that have been done up to now. So when we look at the Longwall Road, the Point Blanche Road, I saw he even, the minister, through you, Madam Chair, was busy on the L.B. Scott Road. What drainage solutions were implemented during these times? And I would like to point out that tilting a road doesn't fall under the category of drainage. I would like to know what drainage solutions were applied on these projects to date, and what ideas does he have for the projects upcoming? Yes, and this is a topic that the minister and I touched on lightly. I would like to remind the minister again, contrary to before I was in office, especially before you were in office, words used, especially on a public forum, are very impactful. So I would like to know what unpopular decisions that the minister repeatedly has been repeating on public forums that he's prone to make in his tenure. What are these unpopular decisions? Because, like I said, saying something like that could worry some, even though that may not be the minister's intention. So if he were to make that clear, to put a lot of people's mind at ease, what unpopular decisions will these be? In closing, the Bethlehem Estate. The Bethlehem Estate is one of the only, I would say, one of the many, but one of the only development projects, in my estimation, that has been done the right way, right? Everything from road to drainage to future prior planning, everything has been done the right way by the family. And in my estimation, they haven't gotten the sufficient backing from the government to complete their project, especially as it pertains to the exit, the connection on the Belle Plaine Road. I think the minister in his prior function knows a lot about that. We have to realize that aside from the fact that it's a local family doing this project, they need us, but we've needed them a lot of times in the past for various projects dating back decades. And I think now for them to be sitting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting, not in particular on government, but basically on assistance to get their project expedited, we will be needing them in the future again, because I heard questions pertaining to particular links. Just know that without them, one of those links can never happen. So I would like to know what is the minister's plan to assist where he can, whether it be cross-ministerial, because I know he can't, everything doesn't fall under his purview, but what can be done to assist the Bethlehem project. And going back, especially seeing the time, the question about the preparatory resolutions, I'll accept those answers in writing. And that would be, oh yeah, last question. The garbage tax, what is the minister's projection for revenue projection as it pertains to the garbage tax? How much does he expect to collect once it's implemented and is on its way? So what is the projection for that? And those would be my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, MP York. Allow me to explain the point regarding what was raised by MP York about not minding receiving the answers in writing. We need to be cognizant of the fact that we are asking the members of parliament to put their questions in writing to accommodate the process, which also includes all ministers having to put the answers in writing in a report. However, we need to be conscious that when we close the meeting of Central Committee, if we get a final report, you know what I'm saying? So if we say we'll wait for answers, we got to make sure that it is not expanding or extending the meeting. So the process for the law on the budget is one of Central Committee, report by Central Committee, a formal written report, response by government, formal written response. That will then be the so-called closure of the Central Committee meeting, going towards a public meeting, in which those reports need to be present. So that was not time yet. Now I'll get to something that needs to be timed. And that is a follow-up question to the Minister of Romy. Minister, I forgot in my comments regarding the road and the financing and what have you, a statement was made by the Prime Minister, I believe it was during his inaugural address, that the PJIA loan will come back and benefit infrastructural projects. And so I would like to know what exactly, what and how, and if there is already a plan of infrastructural projects to which this money will be applied. So if the Minister of Romy can give that overview, please, with respect to that loan then being applicable or becoming applicable to infrastructural projects. And I heard someone made mention yesterday of the Ministry of TIAT making available garbage bins. Is this a project only for Phillipsburg? Is it a project for the entire area? What is the understanding with respect to garbage bins and the garbage haulers? Who is responsible for what part of supplying garbage bins? So, Minister, I wanted to add those to the questions that I posed earlier, and I see now that we have MP La Cruz who wishes to address the Minister of Romy. MP La Cruz, you have the floor.
A blessed morning, Madam Chair Lady Griffier, Ministers of Justice and Minister of Romy, my fellow colleagues, members of Parliament, and those watching or listening to this meeting. Madam Chair Lady, through you, first I'd like to make a comment that I actually forgot yesterday to the Minister of Justice, which is that I was extremely happy 3 days ago on the Cold Bay Hill by the roundabout when I saw 3 or 4 police officers that were there directing and helping with the traffic. That made so much sense. And it helped a lot because coming from Simpson Bay area, it went real fast. So that is something that I will love to see more often. I know that we have a problem with police officers, but just terra informati to the Minister of Justice. Sometime back, the inspectors from TIAT were the ones that helped direct traffic. And the situation or the problem they had with it was actually because they felt that no one respected them. So while there, we pushed to make sure that all were buff pullers. So that is something that the new minister could look into and see the cooperation from that department and help, because it makes a lot of help, a lot of sense, especially like my fellow colleague mentioned in the cul-de-sac, St. Peter's areas in the morning. Thank you. And then for the Minister of Romy, Madam Chair Lady, a question to the Minister. If the Minister could give us a breakdown on how it actually takes place when someone files a complaint concerning a resident in a district, in this case, for example, St. Peter's, that is running his or her sewage water onto the street. And it is constantly, every day. So if the minister could give us an idea, you know, even maybe tell the public how the public could file a complaint, if there's a phone number, an email address, that pictures could be sent, and how does the ministry take that complaint and move forward with it? Because it is apart from garbage, sewage water is also a problem in the neighborhood. And then, Madam Chair Lady, back to a question that the previous MP also mentioned concerning the charging for garbage. And I personally wouldn't have a problem with anyone charging for garbage because that is normal everywhere else in the world. You end up paying for the disposal of your rubbish. But what I would actually like to see is that some of those funds go right into the ministry directly and allocated to, for example, being able to hire more inspectors or train those that are there to become inspectors, that there's some type of oversight on the garbage disposal and how people throw their garbage outside. So to charge for garbage and that it disappears in the bottomless pit of the coffers of government makes absolutely no sense to me unless it's allocated to something that is going to benefit what it is collected for. And I hope the minister understands what I mean with that. It's not too difficult to put a plan together that will move that way. Yes, that will be all for me, Madam Chair Lady. Thank you.
Thank you, MP La Cruz. MP Irian, you have the floor, but you realize that you have exhausted your time. No, you have minutes? He has 4 minutes left.
I calculated.
Yes, you are correct. You have.
I saved them for Brummy.
Okay. MP Irian, yes, you indeed do have some minutes. MP Irian, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chair, SG, everyone. Season greetings again. Quick questions to the Minister of Rumi. Do you see anything wrong, Madam Chair, with the raffling of the process? Are you planning to retract this officially? You have a lawyer next to you that has also been working a lot with government and good corporate governance, among others. So I would advise you to maybe just lean over before you answer, get a little advice on your right. Do you see anything wrong with when it comes to government accepting sponsorship? I would also advise you to look at any of the integrity documents from the Integrity Chamber that have come to government in the past regarding gift policies, among others, also is receiving funds and the reason why. In addition to that, what legal basis did you use to be able to even accept or want to accept sponsorship? You have, I mentioned yesterday, this coalition has at least 3 of Parliament Sint Maarten's best lawyers on their team. So, and in your cabinet, you have a lot of you, even some that have working experience working with the governor. So again, I'm very surprised that something like this would pass the whole coalition and your staff and be allowed to be out in the public like this. So I want to confirm on, will this be retracted? And do you have a license or permit to be able to do this? And do you believe that in any way at all, it disadvantages, it puts certain citizens at a disadvantage when it comes to this raffle? In the past budget, the Amendment 2024, but I'm also on radio, among others, you mentioned that you're doing things differently and how the asphalt has to be 6 to this amount of inches, and you even made a miracle happen where you said that one was about 12 inches, it was compacted and it gets squashed down to 6. I happened to be at 2 locations, not the last one where you were, and I saw when they cut the road, do their measurement, and it wasn't to what you said it was going to be. It was exactly what was done in the past. So, again, are you, the last few projects where you did the asphalt, was it 6 to 8 centimeters or inches, whatever one you had mentioned at that point in time? Or was it the same way that we've always been doing it after road works, heavy rainfall, etc.? What is the current update and timeline for the stoplights? I saw just now, like, 2 of them was on. It was a little confusing. There are no signs indicating that stoplights are not working, so some individuals are actually stopping because I guess they're testing. So I advise that some signs be put there so we know that it's testing going on, because some people were driving through while the other one was saying red, the other one was green. Last budget, we asked for the amount of long lease, so the top 10 offenders. I'm hoping that since then, at that time, it was stated that you needed to have contact with receiver's office, among others. So I'm hoping by that, since then, you've gotten that information. So what are the amounts? I don't need to know the names. What are the amounts for the top 10 outstanding offenders when it comes to long lease? We can't talk about revenue generation, etc., if we don't have this information or want to access this information. So yes, it can be submitted redacted, but we'd like to have that information. How many building permits during the time that you were minister, so not just a month, no, the time that you were minister, did you deny? So not that you hold back having process, but you said, no, we have denied this building permit, start over, we're not going to execute this. How many building permits have you denied? You also mentioned that we have to look at building in the hills or stop building in the hills, etc. So is that a plan for 2025? Because as MP York mentioned, we can't continue to say things on radio, etc. But then when it comes to execution, there's nothing. So, and then who goes at a disadvantage? Like who has, for example, with TIAT, one area, Phillipsburg, closes down. So is it going to be a selective area where construction can happen or not? And the policy that the PFA championed on minimizing.
MP Irian, just 1 minute. I'll allow you to finish the topic, but you are actually over time.
Okay, no problem. That's fine. I'll round it off. My last sentence is the PFP promotion of construction pause. Is that going to happen in 2025? Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, MP Irian. I now give the floor to MP Peterson. MP Peterson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Seeing the former Minister of Finance walk in, it reminded me of a question that I had yesterday, because I remember when I was an opposition member, I asked him on this floor of Parliament why there is not an LB-HAM as per Article 47 of the Ontwerplandsverordening that basically regulates all tendering for government, which is the law. I believe his answer then was that he doesn't think that we need more financial regulation, which was not his choice, but it's in the law. So I just wanted to ask, through you, Madam Chair, where are we with this trajectory? I believe the Ministry of Finance also took it up upon themselves to create this LB-HAM, which I think is very important when we speak about tendering, because yesterday I've heard MPs say that within their expertise, they think that stuff should have been retendered, but if we don't have an LB-HAM to regulate this, then all of that is just a matter of opinion. And also, Madam Chair, through you, I wanted to inquire about Landspakket A7. I believe that an amount of approximately €1 million was reserved for the Department of Domain Affairs with the Landspakket, and I just wanted to know if the Minister has received any indication as to when this trajectory can start, so we can start looking at important things like the DDoM policy that needs to be established for long lease, and also to revamp, the Domain Affairs Department, which is the department that creates the most revenue, aside from the Infrastructure Management Department. And yeah, I think those are my last two questions for the Minister, through you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, MP Peterson. Just as this is a general note to all members of Parliament and maybe to the government ministers as well, I took note of the fact that the reporting on the Landspakket, and it came to mind because of what was mentioned by MP Peterson, I'm understanding that a new format of that report has been designed and has been sent, should have been sent to all the parliaments, the Dutch Parliament, St. Martin, Curacao, and Aruba. I just want to inform our parliament that we have not yet received it, but that publication has been made, that there is a new design, a new format for the reporting on the country package. And just that we know, but we have not, this parliament has not, as of now, received it, but apparently that's somewhere getting to us. That was just a note for the members of parliament. Thank you again, MPs, who have spoken on the topic of the Ministry of Vromi. And I think this now brings us, Minister, and your support staff to the end of this round, I call it, or this session, with the first set of questions to the ministers, and the Minister of Vromi is the last minister to sit in on the first set of questions by members of parliament. Thank you, Minister, and your support staff. Members of parliament, we're now going to adjourn, I want to say, like for 15 minutes until a 11:15 on that clock there, which is a little slow. But we'll go according to that clock. So 11:15, while I get an update from the ministers as to their readiness to start to come back and respond to the questions on the different ministries. So at this time, thanks to the Minister of Vromi and his support staff, members of parliament, ladies and gentlemen, this meeting is adjourned until 11:15. Meeting adjourned. Just. Members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome back to this meeting. It is just to inform you, as well as the general public, that we have finished the first session, the first round of questions to the ministers on the draft budget 2021. All ministers have appeared to hear the questions by members of Parliament, and we are now going to start with the responses. The first minister to come back to Parliament with the responses for the ministry is the Minister of Finance, who will be here at 1 p.m. this afternoon. So this Central Committee meeting of Parliament is adjourned until 1 p.m., at which time we will have the ministers starting to return to Parliament, beginning with the Minister of Finance. This meeting is hereby adjourned, wishing you a pleasant, less than 2 hours lunch break, or yes, anyhow, wishing you a pleasant time until 1 p.m. as we continue this meeting. Thank you, members of Parliament. Meeting adjourned.